Okay, so this is my little contribution to the Cal Crochet Along Facebook groups, Friends Around the World and Mosaic Crochet Cal. So I think most of the parts up to now have been overlay mosaic, which is where you cut the yarn at the end of each row and you sort of change the colour for every row. But I thought I'd just do something a little bit different, which is what I call inset mosaic crochet. So what that is, at this time we're going to actually be doing 2 rows in each colour. So you do your first you set up the pattern on the right side and then you turn and just go back to the other end, so you can just carry the unused colour up the side so you won't have all those hundreds of ends. So first thing to say is it's really important actually to do a gauge swatch for this particular for this part, because if you've been doing, which you have been, overlay mosaic more or less all of the time up until now, you will probably find that when you do the inset, you'll work that a little bit looser. So to keep your edges nice and straight of your blanket, I usually drop down 1/2 millimeter. So this is a 3.5 mil hook for my double knitting or 3-weight yarn, where normally with this yarn I would probably use a 4 millimeter. So I've just dropped down a bit just to try and keep it, like I say, the tension the same across them both. So I do recommend you just do a couple of repeats of this pattern, just so you can check that your gauge is the same for both methods. Okay, so you will obviously be starting from wherever you are in your blanket, so you'll just carry on. So I have just started, I've actually done the first 2 rows of the pattern because it's really easy. It's just 2 rows of double crochets. So that's just standard double crochet through both loops, got to the end, did 1 turning chain, and the turning chains never count as a stitch, so that's just to get your hook up to the right level, and I've gone back. So that's what I've now done here. So this is now, I've now done the first 2 rows of the pattern. So this is effectively the wrong side, so when I turn it over, there we go, this is now going to be the right side of your blanket, and we'll get started on row 3. So as I say, I haven't chopped the end off there, I'm left that there, and we're going to pick up our contrast colour. So I'm calling this, don't do it like that actually, I'm just calling this colour A, so the pattern's colour A. So what I'm now going to do is we'll do this the same whether you're joining a new colour for the first time or when you do it, I just pull it through. So just pull that loop through at the end there like so, and then do a chain, and that holds that in nicely. Okay, so we start with an edge stitch, and I'm just tucking that end just over my hook there, just to sort of hold that in place until we weave it in later. Okay, so that's our first edge stitch done. So we actually now need another double crochet there, so that's held them tightly. So now what we need to do, if you look at the chart or the picture of the finished thing, you'll see that there's now on the chart there is this sort of beigey colour. Now do this. So if you were doing overlay, you would be doing a back loop double crochet there. But what we have to do, when you see a stitch, when you're doing inset, when you see a stitch on the chart that's in the colour you're not using, you need to leave a space for it. So to do that, we're going to be missing 1 stitch. So what we're going to do is 2 chain. You always chain 1 more than the number of stitches you're missing. So we're missing 1 stitch, I've done 2 chain, so I can now double crochet, and again it's through both loops, so it's a standard double crochet in the next stitch. So we actually need 3 of those, so we can now do, there we go, so 2, 3 double crochets. So we've now got another 2 chain, which means we're going to be missing another single stitch, 1 double crochet. So that is our repeat. Nice straightforward 6 stitch repeat for this. So we now start again at the beginning with 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 3 double crochets, 2, 3, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet. So I've now done that twice. Okay, so just carry along, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1, 2, 3, whoops, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet. So you can just carry along until the end, and I'll meet you when you get to the end. Okay, so I've now repeated that little stitch repeat right up until the last stitch, and so in the last stitch, and that'll be the same for every row, just going to complete it with another double crochet. Now a little word about stitch counts. When you've been doing overlay mosaic, you don't need to worry about the stitch counts once you've got started, because it'll be the same for every row. But with inset mosaic, because we're doing an extra chain, so 1 more chain than the number of stitches we are missing, it can kind of get a little bit confusing. So just want to explain to you how I calculate my stitch counts. So basically I'm going to ignore all of the chains. So my stitch counts will never include the chains, it will literally just be the stitches. So I have got the standard, the 48 plus 3 stitch multiple here. So if you look at the pattern, it says that what you should have is a multiple of 32 plus 3 stitches, because obviously I don't know how big your blanket is that you're started with, so I can't give you an actual stitch count for a specific width. So for if you've got, say, three lots of 48 wide, which make quite a nice size for a blanket, then you're going to need 3 times the 32 stitches plus the 3 for like the edges. So that would in that instance be, what was it, 3 32s and 96 plus 3, so you'd have like 99 stitches now. So how to count them, we'll just double check. So we've got 2, so 2 3 4 5 6 10 14 18 22 26 30 1 2 3 4 5, so that is 32 plus 3. So I know I've done that right. So now to take you through the return row, so we now need to basically get our hook back to this end so we can pick up our colour for the next pattern row. So there's 1 turning chain, which as I said before doesn't count as a stitch, and then all you do on all of your return rows is you work a double crochet into every stitch. So on this row, all our stitches are double crochets, so you just do the same, basically the same as you did before. So, and where we've got our 2 chain spaces, we're going to do 2 chains. So simple as that. So we've got 1 2 3 double crochets, 2 chains, miss the chain space, and then double crochet into that stitch. It's going to do that all the way across. 1 2, oops, 3, the yarn's got stuck. Oh, there you go. And then 2 chains, miss the chain space, 1 double crochet, 2 chains, miss the chain space, and then the 3. So I won't be listing all of the return rows in the pattern, so that's all you need to basically remember, is on the return rows on the wrong side you just work a stitch into every stitch, a double crochet into every stitch, and a chain above every chain. Simple as that. So when you've done that, I'll see you when you get to the end and we can do row 5 together. Right, so I've now got to the end of row 4, so drop now our colour, what was that, colour A? And we're going to pick up our sort of background colour now. So just as we did when we joined that there, I'm going to just turn that around, pull that loop through. Now make sure you don't pull this bit too tight, so leave that like that. Just pull that stitch down and leave that like that. It's all going to be hidden in our envelope border at the end anyway. Okay, so do the chain to sort of hold that in place, pull that down, keep this one nice and tight but leave that one not too tight. So now we've got, as always, we're going to start with our edge stitch there, so we've got a double crochet there. Okay, so when you're doing inset mosaic, basically you know when you see these chains, you know you're going to have to do a treble to cover over that into this missed stitch. So but when you've got a double crochet, you don't know what you're going to do. You may be double crocheting in it, or you may be doing some chains over the top. So what we're actually going to do with this is we're going to do 2 chains. So we're going to 2 chain. We're going to miss this first pattern stitch there, and now we're going to do treble into this missed stitch here. Now what you need to make sure is you keep your hook in front of those chains. It's very tempting to work over the top of them. You'll think it'll make the back look a bit neater, but unfortunately it can make the front look less neat. So always work, unless stated otherwise, always work these trebles in front of those chains. So just one into there and then just finish off the treble as usual. Okay, so that's now filled in that space there. So now we're going to do double crochets here. So 3 double crochets, 2, 3, and as I said here, because we've now got the chains, we know we're going to have to do a treble into there. So remember, this is all UK terms. That would obviously be a double crochet if you were doing US terms. Okay, so we've done that first little bit there. So now we have got 2 chain. Going to miss that stitch and treble in there. So again, and it's as simple as that. So that is our repeat done. Well, actually I've now started the second repeat with that treble, so we've got still 6 stitch repeat, 3 double crochets, 1 treble, 2 chain, miss that stitch. So now we start again, 1 treble, 3 rows down, 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and now 1 treble, 3 rows down, 2 double crochets. So that's now the first 3 repeats there. So just carry on like that until you get to that last stitch, and I'll meet you there. Right, so I've now got right up into the last stitch, so you can see I've actually got the 2 stitches there unused, but because we've got our two chains there, we're going to be missing the first one of those and just complete the row with our edge stitch. So that'll always be, as I said before, it'll always be a double crochet at the beginning and at the end, and those first and last stitches. Okay, so turning chain, and then as before, double crochet in every stitch, chain over every chain. So we know our chain spaces are always 2 chain again on this row, so I've done the 2 chain, missed those chains there, and now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it can sometimes be a little bit tricky to see those trebles there because they've been worked in front of the chains there, but make sure you catch them all. So we've got 5 double crochets there, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, and then 5 double crochets again. So that's really nice and simple. So as I said, we're going to have the same on every return row. You just work a double crochet into every stitch, whether it's a double crochet or a treble, and then a chain over every chain. So yeah, carry on to the end there, and then I'll meet you to do row 7 together. Okay, so I've now got to the end of row 6, and you should now see, take my hook out of there, you should be able to see the chain spaces are loose on the back. Okay, so the back of your work is going to be stripy, and the front, which we'll see actually because I'm not going to turn around anyway, there we go, it's got the pattern starting to take shape. Okay, so for row 7 we now need to put that back in there, pick up our colour A again. Okay, so as before, make sure you don't pull this too tight, but you do want to pull that down. Okay, so do the chain there, that'll hold all that in place, and then we've got our edge stitch, double crochet, and as I said before, you know you're now going to have to do a treble there because you've got your chains. So we start with our treble there. So again, always make sure your trebles are in front of the chain spaces. Okay, so now the repeat starts with 1 double crochet, then we've got 3 chain, 2, 3, going to miss 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and then we've got 2 double crochets, then treble in that missed stitch, whoops, there, okay, 2 double crochets, then we've got 3 chain, miss 1, 2 stitches, 1 double crochet, and then we end our repeat with a treble 3 down. So the repeat's a bit longer this time. We've got a 12 stitch repeat instead of the 6, but it's still nice and easy really. So we're now going to start again, 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, miss 1, 2 stitches, then 2 double crochets, 1 treble, 2 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 chains, miss 1, 2 stitches, 1 double crochet, 1 treble 3 down. Okay, so that is the repeat there. Okay, so just got that one last stitch to do there, a little edge stitch, double crochet at the end. I'll just take you through the return row once more. Works exactly the same way as we've done on the last couple, so it's just the turning chain, and then as before, double crochet in every stitch. So we've got 3 double crochets there. This time we've got 3 chains in our chain spaces, so 1, 2, 3, so just matching the chains, and then double crochet in every stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, 1, 2, 3 chains, miss that space, and then we've got 3, 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So we'll carry on like so, 3 chain, miss the chain space, 5 double crochets, 3, 4, 5, 3 chain, miss the space, and then 3. So just repeat that along, and I'll see you ready to start row 9. So as always, pick up our other colour. Don't pull that too tight, but pull that one down nice and firmly. There we go, 1 chain. I mean, what you can do, some people will actually join or pick up the new colour and the last part of the stitch on the previous row. I just prefer to do it this way because it kind of, you can complete each row then. Makes it easier to explain really. But it wouldn't make any difference if you did it the other way around. Okay, so start with 1 double crochet, and then we're going to be missing both of these stitches. So 1, 2, 3 chains because we're missing 2 stitches, and then you've got your 2 trebles 3 rows down. Try again. 2. So now we've got 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, and we're going to do that twice. So 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet. Okay, so that's when you see those square brackets in my instructions, then just look for the word after them, which will tell you how many times you need to do the bits that are inside the square bracket. So that was that twice. So I've got 2 chains, miss 1 stitch again, and 1, 2 double crochets. Okay, so now what you'll find, we've actually got, if you look, there's a little hashtag that I've now put in the written instructions there, And what that is telling you is basically you don't need to worry about it until you get to the last repeat of the row, because then the bit after that we're going to be doing slightly different at the end. So I'll explain more when we get there, but for now you can completely ignore that hashtag and just do what it says after that. So what we've now got to do is 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, miss these 3 stitches, and then well, that was the end. So that was the end of our first repeat. So we've missed the 3 stitches, and we now start again with 2 trebles. There we are, 2, and then we've got 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, which we do twice. 1, 2, and then 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 2 trebles, and then we complete the repeat, 2, 3, 4 chains. Okay, so I've now got to the hashtag on the last repeat. So if you actually look at this now, you'll see if we've only actually got 3 stitches left here. So I wouldn't be able to do 4 chains, miss 3 stitches and then anchor the end. So this is why we now need to just change the end. So at this point, if you remember at the start of the row here, we had 1 double crochet and then we did 3 chains, missed 2 stitches. So we've effectively got to do the opposite of that on the end. So say when you then get to where that hashtag is for the last time, you don't do the little bit, that last bit of the repeat after that. This time instead of 4 chain we're going to do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, miss 2 stitches, and then that enables us to get our edge stitch in there. So that's that really. So now we'll just do the return row as usual. So double crochet in every stitch and a chain over every chain. Okay, so I've now just got started on row 11 with my edge stitch, my first double crochet and the 2 trebles that come before the start of the main repeat. So we'll now start with the little asterisk where the repeat is starting. So we're going to start this time with 2 chains, which of course means we're going to be missing 1 stitch, and a double crochet in that second one there. So now as you can see we're going to have to do trebles there. So we've got the square brackets, so we are repeating 1 treble and then 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, so we're repeating that. So that was the first time, 1 treble, that's 2, and then we've got another treble there. Okay, so now we've got 1 double crochet, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, and again we've got another little hashtag there, so we can ignore, as we know, we can ignore that for now. We'll just come to that when we get to the end. So now I've got 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3. So we can now start our repeat again. So we start the repeat with 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, then we've got 1 treble 3 rows down, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, and do that twice. So there we are, and then we've got another treble there, and now we have 1 double crochet, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, and 3 trebles, 3 rows down. So just repeat that along the row, and I will see you when you get to that hashtag on your final repeat. Okay, so I've now got to the end of row 11, so I've done my 2 chains, and I'm missing this stitch. So, and we've now got to the hashtag. So before I take you through that, I want to just mention something about what it says about like the stitch counts. If you look at the chart, or indeed, you know, if you look at the chart there, you should see it looks like we're missing that one, but it looks like we've got like 1, 2, 3 stitches left. But in my instructions, I just say to last stitch. Now the reason for that is that I don't count, as I said before, I don't count the chain spaces. So obviously we've only, after this one we're missing, because we've already covered that, we've only got the 1 stitch left at the end. It would get too confusing to say, to count the chains there, because, and especially because we've got 3 chains but we're only missing 2 stitches. So just bear that in mind. When I say repeat to the last number of stitches, it's the number of actual stitches physically remaining on the previous row. Okay, so that's why I say to last stitch. Okay, so we now got to that, so I've got up to the hashtag, and this time I'm not going to ignore it. I'm now going to do what's immediate. I'm now going to ignore the bit that's immediately after that first hashtag and then go to what it says to do when you get to the end. So we've got our 2 chain, miss 1 stitch we've done already. So basically what we're doing now, instead of working 3 trebles 2 down, we're just going to do 2, because that's all we've got space for. And this is just to balance out the pattern, keep the beginning and end of the row the same. And as always, we finish with our double crochet. Okay, so there's my turning chain, and I'm now just going to turn around and do, as we have been all along, a double crochet in every stitch and a chain over every chain. And I will see you to do row 13. So I've just now started row 13 with my double crochet in the first stitch and 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, which is what it tells you to do before the main repeat starts. So we're going to start the repeat with double crochet in there, and as we know, we're going to have to do a treble here because we've got the chains. Okay, so now we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1, 2, 1 treble in there. Then we've got 2 chains. We're going to miss this stitch in the middle there. Then we've got another treble. 1, 2 double crochets, 1 treble, 1 double crochet, and now we end that first repeat with our 2 chains, miss 1 stitch. Okay, so that's our first repeat done, started there. So we're now going to do that together again. So we know we're missing this stitch, remember, 1 double crochet, 1 treble 3 rows down, 1, 2 double crochets, and then another treble 3 rows down, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble, 2 double crochets, 1 treble, 1 double crochet, and now we finish that repeat again with our 2 chains, miss 1 stitch. Okay, so I've now just started row 15 with the double crochet and the treble 3 rows down before the main repeat starts. So now we're going to start the repeat with 2 chains, which obviously means miss 1 stitch, and then 2 double crochets. Then we have 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, then we have a treble in there, and another double crochet, then 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 2 double crochets, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble. So that is our first repeat done. So it basically started there and it's gone along there, so we're going to repeat that across. So we've got 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, 1 treble 3 rows down, 1 double crochet, 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, and a treble. Okay. Okay, so I've now started row 17 with, as always, the first edge stitch, and now we have got actually 2 chains, miss 1 stitch. So this is all now before the repeat starts. I'm now going to start the repeat with 1 treble, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, got to be a treble there because we've got the chain spaces, and now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 chains and miss those 3 stitches, 1 treble, 1 double crochet, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, and we're now going to start the repeat again. So that is our first repeat done. Okay, so 1 treble, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, 1 treble, 1 treble. Oh, it's quite a loose loop there. Let's do a better stitch there. Okay, 1 treble, that looks better. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 treble, 1 double crochet, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble, 2 chains, and miss that last stitch. So that's now the first 2 repeats done there. So as always, okay, so I've now just completed row 18 and got started on row 19 with that first double crochet and the treble 3 rows down before the main repeat starts. So we're going to start our repeat this time with a double crochet in there, and then treble. So we've now got 3 chains, which of course means we're going to be missing these 2 stitches, and then we've got 3 trebles. Oops, 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3 chains, miss those 2 stitches, 1 double crochet, 1 treble, 1 double crochet, 1 treble. So that now completes our first repeat. So that's the repeat that we're now going to be doing. So we're going to go, we need another double crochet and a treble. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 chains, miss those 2 stitches, and 1, 2, 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3 chains, 1 treble, 1 double crochet, 1 treble, and again we've now completed the second repeat. So what we're now doing, I don't know if you can see it now, we're actually going to be taking this little pattern that we had here and kind of rotated it so it then comes, it will be a balance when we're finished. So you can see these little bits here is the equivalent of what we had here. Okay, so this is now. Okay, so I'm now at the beginning of row 21, and as usual I've just done the little bits before the main repeat, which in this case is 1 double crochet in that first stitch and then 2 chains, and we're going to be missing the next stitch. So after that we're now going to start there, the repeat, with 2 double crochets, 2 trebles, 1 double crochet, then we've got 2 chains, missed 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, then 1, 2 trebles, oops, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch. Oh, and that's then basically, that's the first repeat done. Okay, so we start again with the 2 double crochets, 2 trebles, 1 double crochet, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, 1, 2 trebles, 2 double crochets, and then we end with our 2 chains, miss 1 stitch. Right, so I'm now up to my last time for using the this colour A for now. So we're just going to now basically finish off the top to marry up like it looks at the bottom. So shorter repeat again now. So I've now started with my double crochet and the treble 3 rows down before the repeat starts. So we've now got 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, and then 1, oops, 2, 3 double crochets, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble. So 2 chain, miss 1 stitch, 1, whoops, 1, 2, 3 double crochets, 2 chains, miss 1 stitch, 1 treble. So that is all we're repeating across. 2 chain, miss 1. Right, so I've now finished with my colour A, and I've actually, you can see I've just cut that off. I haven't actually fastened it off because we can just pick this up as we have been all the way along, chain, and what we'll do, just to hold this in place before we actually weave it in properly, we're just going to work that edge stitch over there just to hold it nice and secure there. Okay, so now row 25, we're going to start with actually another double crochet. So we've got the 2 double crochet before we start, and this is quite nice and simple. This one, we're just going to be working a treble every time we see the chain space, and all the rest of it is just going to be double crochets. So there's no chains to worry about on this row. When we finish, we'll be back to our 48 multiple of 48 plus 3 stitches again. Okay, so treble, 1 double crochet, 1 treble 3 rows down, and 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So that's all we're going to do all the way along, nice and easy.